Hello everyone, welcome to a bit of a different video, brought to you by a request from Patrick Stite. Today we'll be looking over at some storage tips, more so how I just kind of sort all my Lego bits and pieces, and let's jump into it because the review table is going to look a bit different in a second. So, my typical system for storing stuff is to store it by color, because when I'm looking for pieces to, let's say, recreate one of my old sets, or I need something to complete a used set that I just purchased, it's much easier to look by the color, at least for me, since everything in the back of an instruction manual is sorted by color, than to simply just have everything sorted by piece type. So if I have some large bricks, then I might have everything sorted in by these same pieces, but that also requires a lot more space and is not something that I can afford at the moment, considering I am quite already contained within the space that I have. So if you have a lot more space, that's something that you might want to look into, but at least for me, sorting by color works well. And sometimes you can even bulk up colors, like for instance these transparent pieces, because you don't typically get as many of them, at least sets, after you've decommissioned them, or at least are working on something new. You can quite easily find what you need, and it's not too much of a hassle. Meanwhile, for my figures, I've been trying to kind of sort things out, but, you know, one large bin of just everything is quite a good way to go around it. Sometimes you'll have random accessory pieces float in there, but typically having them all in one place makes it easier, just in case you're looking for a singular torso piece from this Ninja Turtle or a specific peg leg from this pirate firefighter. So it does work out in the end. There are few issues with this system, and the fact that to get it set up this way, it does take a lot of time. But once it is working, if you decide to work on a color-based project or just need a few things, you've got things easily accessible. Still, this does take a bit of time compared to, let's say, if I were to just take a large bin and put a bunch of stuff in there. Now, this is all sorted to be dark gray, but what you could do is you could just have a few bulk bins to store all of your pieces, depending on how many you have. Another thing is in relation to just large bulk bins that you might go out and purchase, because I recently went ahead and purchased this, and this did not look like this, nor was it in this bin, but I've gone ahead and cleaned everything that you see here, except for the sticker pieces, which are to my right, which still need to be taken care of, since don't really want to brush over and just kind of risk peeling off the stickers by chucking them in a bin of water, cleaning them thoroughly, and then putting them into a bin to dry. So that's a bit of an issue, but I think the way that you'd go about going through a bulk bin is you'd see what kind of pieces you have when they're still clumped together, kind of make a tally list of what you have at your disposal, some sets that are of interest to you. Maybe some sets aren't of interest, so you just brush them off, but if you see anything that you like, you might as well write it down somewhere so that you know, and then after some time, when everything's dry, you kind of look through it, see what's there, you pick out the pieces that you have, look at what the pieces you still don't have so that you can order them later if you so choose, and then go ahead and start sorting the rest of the bulk pieces back into your collection so that you go ahead and have some extra bulk pieces, but you also have some new sets if they're fresh off the press. Now, instruction booklets, for those that keep them, are also a bit of a hassle to deal with sometimes, considering how many you can get at a time. This is an Arctic set that I recently picked up, and, well, the instruction booklet hasn't been put away yet, simply for the fact that it was recently cleaned and put together, so I haven't put it anywhere yet. But what I would recommend, at least for these, is some people just toss them into a drawer and forget about them forever. Some people just toss them away because it's easier that way. But in some cases, it is good to at least keep them in good condition for in case you ever need them. Granted, you can just go on lego.com, but some people like building with the physical instructions, myself included, so I'd like to keep good care of them, and for that I recommend putting them in a binder sleeve, which allows them to stay in pretty good condition until you ever need them again. Now, there was one more question that I received, which was in relation to throwing away pieces. Sometimes I might come across something that, well, looks like this. This has been a bit bruised and damaged by some oil leaks that happened in the bin that I procured it from, and, well, if this doesn't get cleaned off, typically I would say this would be the time to throw something away, without at least getting a picture of whether it'll be something that you need or not. And in other cases, I would suggest throwing away pieces only if they've been broken and you can't repair them. In some cases, you can repair a piece, but in other cases, it's going to be just a lot of tiny pieces of a piece, rolling around, in which case I would throw them away after I've seen if I can get a replacement piece, just so that I know what I still need and what I don't. So for me, there's rare times where I would actually throw away a piece. This is not yet one of those. But, in some cases, we've got the wear and tear from like an old set or something. Sometimes a piece is just worn out of time and starts to look like it's grown moss over it. So, in those cases, you probably don't want to risk catching a disease and just throw the pieces out, which is a shame because it was probably still a relatively decent piece. But, sometimes there are instances where it's better to just get a new one than risk anything with the old one, like ruining structural integrity or just having a bad look. Bad look isn't always bad, but for some people that is much worse than others. Well, I think that should close out this video, but if you have any other questions that I didn't cover in this video, be sure to comment and I shall get to them at some point probably. Maybe when I'm not digging through that entire bin of pieces. Or something like that.